प्रविश्यवाचमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। गुरुं हि स्वयं सत्यः प्रज्ञा भक्तिविनीतयः दीप्तिश्चापि वृदाः सत्यं तं गुरुं प्रणमाम्यहम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Let's start from verse 59. किं मिथ्या यद्विद्यानाश्यम् किञ्छन्तु शशविराणानि आचार्यर्वाच्या माया किं खल्विदम् द्वैतम् किं पारमार्थिकम् स्यात् अद्वैतम् चाज्ञता कुतः अनादिः बहुशश्च पोषकम् किम् प्रारब्धम् शान्नदायिनीम् शायुः को ब्राह्मणैरुपास्यः गायत्र्यर्काग्निगोचरशम्भुः गायत्र्यादित्येकाग्नौ शम्भौ च किम् तत् तत्त्वम् प्रत्यक्षदेवता माता पूज्यो गुरुश्च सः तः सर्वदेवतात्मा विद्याः कर्मान्वितो विप्रः। कश्च कुलक्षयहेतुः सन्तापः सज्जनेषु यो अकाली हेनामोघवचनम् ये च पुनः सत्यमौनशमशीलाः। किम् जन्म विषयसङ्गः किमुत्तरम् जन्म पुत्रः स्यात् कोपरिहार्यः मृत्युः पुत्रपदम् विन्यसेच्च विदृक्पूते। पात्रम् किमन्नदाने
पात्रम् किमन्नदाने पात्रम् किमन्नदाने
क्षुधितम्
क्षुधितम् क्षुधितम्
ओच्यो हि
ओच्यो हि ओच्यो हि
भगवदवतारः
भगवदवतारः
कश्च भगवान्
कश्च भगवान् कश्च भगवान्
महेशः शङ्करनारायणात्मा एकः
महेशः शङ्करनारायणात्मा एकः महेशः शङ्करनारायणात्मा एकः।
There are three questions and answers in this. Patram kim annadane क्षुधितम्. Annadane kim patram. The term patram literally means vessel. Patram. In fact, in Sanskrit, we always try to derive the words from the verbs. So why would we call a vessel a patram? So it stems from the verb pa. Pa rakshani. Pati is the form. So protects. Protects what? Protects whatever is poured onto it. So it doesn't let it down. Understand? So rakshani. So this patra stays as adhara, and whatever is poured into it, kept inside it, is Advaita. So it provides a certain protection. In that sense, you call it as a patram. Now, the term patram has various other connotations also. So here he is using the term patram as someone who deserves something. Okay? The person who is competent, who is adept, who deserves something. So the deserving can be in terms of respect, in terms of honor, in terms of help, whatever it is. Okay? The one who is deserving is described as patram. So patram kim annadane. So it's a very interesting usage. Annadane kim patram is the question. Annadane means anything that is consumed which satiates hunger can be called as annam. Yadadyate tat annam. Okay? So this patram kim annadane is the question. So the question has answered kshudhitam. Kshudhitam means the one who is struck by hunger. The one who has hunger pangs is patra. Means he deserves. So you don't need to, in fact, Dharma Shastras describe in great detail who do you offer, etc., etc. So very clear answer. In fact, here Shankara puts it as va patram kimannadane kshudhitam. There is a common phrase. Annasya kshudhitam patram. So this is a famous quote which we have heard from our childhood. And this basically is from Manusmriti. Annasya kshudhitam patram. So then jalasya tashitam and so on. There are various other patras he describes. In that context, Manu also describes in general how do we understand the term patra. So there is an interesting definition there in Mahabharata. Yadyadarhati yo loke patram tasya bhavecha saha. This is a very generic definition of patra. Yadyadarhati yo loke. So there cannot be a more general definition. Yadyadarhati. So whatever a fellow deserves. Yadyadarhati yo loke patram tasya bhavecha saha. So he should be described as patram for that. See, the term here is very important to note. Arhati and not, he deserves and not desires. So yadyad arhati yo loke. Okay, suppose you want to give him a certain position. So whether you could choose him as your minister. So there are certain things which you have to look for. So if he is competent in those respects, then you call him patra for that position. So it is a very general definition. Yadyad arhati yo loke patram tasya bhavecha saha. This is one kind of a definition. There is another interesting definition which I find, just following it in Mahabharata, which comes from a slightly different viewpoint. There, the question of competence, etc., doesn't come. The question of competence, adaptness, and so on and so forth is all just kept aside. Okay, so in a sense, this definition, annasya kshudhitam. So kshudhitam, so whether he is moneyed or he is not moneyed, he is X or Y, etc., those things do not matter. So it is keeping this in mind. So there is another definition which I find in Mahabharata. That is another interesting thing. It goes like this. Muccheta pada apannaha yena patram tadasyatu. Muccheta apada apannaha. Apannaha means the one who has landed himself into some kind of insecurity. This is what is called apat. Apannaha means so one who is in danger. Apannaha. Okay. So, muchyeta apadaha means he is relieved of the danger. Now, he says, so anyone who will be relieved of a danger is patra forever help. Understand? So, whether it is three purusha, etc., whether you can touch them, you cannot touch them, all those things do not matter. In fact, I distinctly remember, apana, suddenly it comes in mind now. There was an occasion, this maybe around 25 years ago, or maybe little before, slightly even before, I don't know exactly. So I was actually traveling from my office, university to home. This was in front of IIT. So there is a very interesting event happening. I was just in the signal and about 15 meters away. Somebody was turning into the road, okay, just crossing the road, and he was hit. And the fellow fell from the scooter. And for the first time I'm seeing a sort of a bloodshed on the road. So I was just watching from that signal. So because I was staying in the signal, then the signal got released and this happened. Then when I come here, nobody goes there. So I just parked my vehicle somewhere and then I went there. And as I was trying to lift that man, he was also driving some bike. That was real bloodshed. So I just parked in the corner and I was. There were a few people who were saying, no, don't touch. I said, why? They said, because you will land into trouble later. So people will start questioning you. So how are you related with the event, etc., etc. So then I saw somehow some part of fellow I took him on my thing and took him to the hospital. So there are various things happened. So why I am saying is, so the irrespective of other thoughts, so muchyeta apadaha. So that is what should come to your mind. So the other aspect should be set aside. So if somebody questions me what is happening, so you will get into investigation. All kinds of things should not come. That is what I am trying to say. This definition of patram that they are saying is very, very important. So muchyeta apadaha apannaha. So he is patram, who deserves help. Okay? It is a very interesting definition from a different perspective. Okay? So that is something which has to be kept in mind. So this here is annasya kshudhikam patram. Okay? So trishikasya jalam and so on. So various other things which go on. Then the next question is Korchyaha Bhagavadavataaraha. Archyaha means respected, to be respected, to be revered, worshipped. So the answer that he gives is Bhagavadavataaraha. Bhagavadavataaraha. Avataraha basically means incarnation. Okay? Bhagavataha avataraha, Bhagavadavataraha. What is this Bhagavan? In fact, there is a verse which goes, Aishwaryasya samagrasya virasya yashasya jnana vairagyoscheva shannam bhaga iti. There is a verse which describes, there are certain qualities which are described as Bhaga, the one who possesses Bhagavan. Normally, we just conceive Krishna, Rama and so on, etc. are avatara. Okay? Because they possess a certain kind of Aishwarya. In fact, even in the world, when someone possesses some extraordinary virtue, okay, so we call him Bhagavan. Okay? So this is a way of expressing our veneration to him, that you are God himself in incarnation. Kaha archyaha is the question. Who is to be respected, worshipped, venerated, revered? So, Bhagavadavataraha. In fact, if you look into Krishna's words in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Yad yad vibhutimat sattvam shrimadurjitamevava tattadeva vagachattam mamatejumsha sambhavam अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुना विष्टभ्याहमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकांशेन स्थितो जगत्. So this 10th chapter is called Vibhuti Adhyaya. So there Krishna basically describes, so I am among this, I am so, and so on and so forth. He says various things. And finally towards the end of the chapter he says, Yad Yad Vibhuti Mat Sattvam. Sattvam means some being. Okay. Yad Yad Vibhuti Mat. Vibhuti is some sort of a Aishwarya. Okay. Glory. Yad Yad Vibhuti Mat Sattvam. Shrimat Urjitameva va. Shrimat. So Shri should be understood in the very general sense of wealth. So any kind of wealth, whether it is knowledge, whether it is power, whatever it is. Shrimat, beauty, whatever. Urjitam. Urjitam means something which is determined. So this enthusiasm is the major factor. Okay. So Utsahavan, Dhritiman, etc. is Urjitam. That is why in Hindi they use the word Urja, means energy. Okay. So, brightness. So anyway, Urjitam. Okay. Urjitam means something which is determined, firm, enthusiastic, all that. Urjitameva va tattadeva avagachatvam. In fact, anybody, who excels in something, so there is a certain abundant enthusiasm behind it, abundant energy behind it, which drives him to achieve something. So those achievers, he says, in fact, it is all my own amsha. Urjitameva, extraordinary skills when you find. Urjitameva va tattadeva avagachatvam mama tejomsha sambhavam. Mama tejomsha sambhavam means, it is in a sense avatara only. Okay. So in fact, the later verse goes on. अथवा बहुनीतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याहमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकांशेन स्थितो जगत्. I myself, I am pervading in various ways. Except it goes. So here, Korchyaha, Bhagavadavataaraha. In fact, there is another interesting verse which talks about this avatara. परोपकृति कैवल्ये तोलयित्वा जनार्दनः गुरुवीम् उपकृतिम् मत्वा अवतारान्दशाग्रहीति. Very interesting verse. Paropakriti kaivalye tolayitva janardanaha. Vishnu at one point of time thought, so whether he should give more weightage to enjoying being in Vaikuntha or go to Loka and serve people. Tolayitva means he put it in the balance. What did he put in balance? Upakriti means so going to people and helping them out. Kaivalyam, enjoying moksha here in Vaikuntha. Tolayitva janardanaha guruvi upakritim matva avatarandashagrahiti. Upakriti is more important, therefore Krishna decided, Narayana decided to take all 10 avatars. So you can imagine the kind of avatars that he had taken. Sometimes in the form of Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, all kinds of things. Okay. Narasimha. So this taking trouble for a very, very, very important cause. What is the important cause? Upakriti. And in fact, anyone who engages in Upakriti, he should be revered. In fact, I was quite touched when this Narendra Modi did this. So these are people who are serving us by cleaning the road. So he once decided that he will keep them in asana and do their other seva. So after water pouring into them. This is a very, very important thing that a king has to show. That we can't treat them, okay, as brute and stupid fellows engaged in some lower level activity. So seva. So this avatara is Bhagavad avatara. What should you understand? It is essentially for doing seva. Okay. So Bhagavad avataraha. All these avataras, why did they come? Parikranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam. That is the greatest seva. Understand? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami. So this is the seva that he has to do and he does. So this is how we need to understand Archyaha, that is to be respected and venerated. So that is the idea here. Then Kascha Bhagavan. So Bhagavan, the term as it is means the one who possesses Bhaga, like Dhanavan, Vidyavan, Buddhiman. Okay? That is a Matu Pratyaya. So the one who possesses Bhaga, Kaha Bhagavan, he says, Maheshaha Shankara Narayanatma Ekaha. Maheshaha Shankara Narayanatma Ekaha is a very interesting phrase through which Acharya wants to communicate something. So some people may take this particular form, so who is having serpent in his neck, etc. So that is as Bhagavan. Some people may say the one Shankachakra Gadadhari as Bhagavan. Somebody else may say the one who has this veil. Okay, so he is Bhagavan. So here he is saying Ekaha Shankara Narayanatma. Atma is the most important term. The force behind, the energy behind, whether this form or that form, Ekaha is one. Okay. Shankara Narayanatma Ekaha. In fact, there is an interesting pasuram which gives this identity. Aran Naranan Namam. Aran Naranan Namam. So it's a Tamil song. Okay. So Nalaya Prabandham among the Aran Naranan Namam Anvidai Pullurdi. Okay. So names are different. Aran and Naranan. Anvidai Pull. Anvidai means Vrisha. Pull means Pakshi. Urdi. Okay. Anvidai Pullurdi. Urai Nool Marai Urayum Kovil. See. Urai Nool. So Urai Nool Marai. Marai means Vedam. Okay. Marai Urayum Kovil. Where do they recite? Okay. Marai Urai Nool Marai Urayum Kovil. Varai Neer. Varai means mountain. Neer is the ocean. Varai Neer. Karumam, the activity. Ayip, Alipu. Kaiyadu, what do they carry? Veil, Nemi. Uruvam, Yerikar. So one looks like a fire, Sweta. The other is like a Krishna. Yerikar, Megha. Many Undru. Understand? That is what he is saying. In fact, great saints have all realized the forms are just very, but Atma is Paravareshu Bhuteshu. In fact, Prahalada says, Brahmanta Sthavarādishu Bhautikeshu Vikareshu Bhuteshvata Mahatsucha Guneshu Gunasamyeshu Gunavyattikare Tatha Ekayeva Parohyatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Vyayaha. Bhagavata. Prahlada, when he teaches the children, he says. So here, Shankara Narayanatma, so it's just wherever generally we take the form and worship. Okay? But this is something which has to be extended further. So he says, Paravareshu Bhuteshu Brahmanta Sthavarādishu. So all these Bhautikeshu Vikareshu Bhuteshvata Mahatsuche Guneshu Gunasamyeshu Gunam Vyatikare Tatha Ekayeva Parohyatma Bhagavan Ishvaraha Avyayaha. This is how he puts it. So that is the idea which is being conveyed here. So don't get wedded to forms. There is nothing wrong in liking a particular form. So, but it should not result in hatred for other things or dvesha. So that is the idea. Read. Patram Gimannadani Shudhikam Ochyo hi Bhagavadavaraha Kascha Bhagavan Maheshaha Shankara Narayanatma Ekaha Phalamapi Bhagavad Bhakteh Kim
फलमपि भगवद्भक्ते किम् फलमपि भगवद्भक्ते किम्
भक्तेः किम्
भक्तेः किम्
तल्लोकस्वरूपसाक्षात्त्वम्
तल्लोकस्वरूपसाक्षात्त्वम् तल्लोकस्वरूपसाक्षात्त्वम्
मोक्षश्च कः
मोक्षश्च कः
मोक्षश्च को हि
मोक्षश्च को हि मोक्षश्च को हि
अविद्यास्तमयः
अविद्यास्तमयः अविद्यास्तमयः
कः सर्ववेदभूः
कः सर्ववेदभूः कः सर्ववेदभूः
अथ च ओम्
अथ च ओम् अथ च ओम्.
This is the last verse. There are three questions again here. फलमपि भगवद्भक्तेः किम् अल्लोकस्वरूपसाक्षात्त्वम् फलमपि भगवद्भक्तेः किम् भगवद्भक्तेः किम् फलम् भगवद्भक्तेः in fact the previous verse Bhakti can be expressed as archana. Bhakti can be vandanam. Bhakti can be dasyam. There are various forms of bhaktis. How many? It is listed. I think in Bhagavata we have a list. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. There are 9 kinds of bhaktis he is talking about. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, all very simple. Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam. So Sakhya Bhakti, you talk to Bhagavan like a friend. Atmanivedanam, Navavidha Bhakti. Anyway, so here he is asking the question, Phalamapi Bhagavad Bhakte Kim. So any of the bhaktis that you choose or a mixture of these bhaktis you have, what is the result of it? Tallokasvarupa sakshatvam. There are 4 things which are stated in Shivananda Lahari. So here he is stating 3 things. There is one interesting verse in Shivananda Lahari. सारूप्यम् तव पूजने शिवमहादेवेति सङ्कीर्तने सामीहित्यम् शिवभक्तिधुर्यजनता साङ्गत्य सम्भाषणे सालोक्यम् च चराचरप्रकृतनुध्याने भवानीपते सायुज्यम् मम सिद्धमत्र भवति स्वामिन् कृतार्थोऽस्म्यहम्. So Sarupyam. So you understand that? I think this is very clear. So he is just listing the 3. But there we find a description of what they are. Sarupyam tava pujane. The first one is Sarupyam. Okay. Sarupyam tava pujane. So pujanam is basically worshipping. So you think of bringing flowers, bringing water, pouring. So various kinds of things. Sarupyam means, in fact there is a phrase in Sanskrit, which is a maxim. Yadbhavaha tadbhavati. So this can be extended in various domains. But if you are taking a certain murti and you keep engaging in doing puja, so you will almost become sarupa. Almost same. The same form will always be there in your mind. Sarupyam. It will almost become like that. Okay? Sarupyam. Okay? Yeah, this Hanumat episode also. Sarupyam tava pujane. Then he says next, Shiva Mahadeveti Sankirtane Samipyam. Okay. Shiva Mahadeveti Sankirtane. means, so when you keep on singing his glory, so like Mirabai, Tulsidas and so on and so forth. Okay. So Shiva Mahadeve, Ayyavad, Shiva Mahadeve, Sankirtane, Samipyam. Samipyam means you go very close to. Okay. Samipyam. Then he says, Shiva Bhakti Dhurya Janata Sangatya Sambhashane Salokyam. The next line. Shiva Bhakti Dhurya. See, Dhuri Bhavaha Dhurya. See, in fact, the one who is foremost, that is what is to be understood. Okay. So, Dhuram Bahati, another way of saying. Dhuram Bahati means the one who takes a certain burden. So, they two are connected. So, if you take a certain important responsibility in an organization, then you will be kept foremost. So, chairman, director, and so on. So, this is called Dhuram Bahati, because he takes the burden. So, therefore, Dhurya. So, here, this Shiva Bhakti Dhurya Janata means, so among the Shiva Bhaktas, the one who is foremost, Sangatya Sambhashani. When you go and gel with them, so then you are in a completely different world. Salokyam. Okay, you are in the Loka of Shiva. Okay, there is nothing else. So they all talk about the same things. See, Shiva Bhakti Dhurya Janata Sangatya Sambhashane Salokyam. Then we have Salokyamcha Characharatmakatamu Dhyane Bhavani Pate. Then this is something which is really superb, the last stage. So, Characharatmakatanudyhane Bhavani Pate Sayujyam Mama Siddhamatra Bhavati. Sayujyam means essentially merging with him. There is no separate identity. Sayujyam Mama Siddhamatra Bhavati. The other three have three different stages where you don't say you merge with him only. So, Sayujyam Mama Siddhamatra. When does it happen? That is where the interesting statement is. Characharatmakatanudhyane. See, chara means something which is in motion, achara means something which is stationary. Characharatmakam means the entire prapancha is just characharatmakam. Okay, you put it into two categories. Characharatmakatanudhyane means, so I should be able to see you in all the charachara. So, Characharatmaka Tanu Dhyane means not always looking at the mobile. This is also some dhyana. So, Achara Dhyana, it is not that. Okay. So, Characharatmaka Tanu Dhyana means I also keep always thinking of money, I also keep thinking of something. So, that is also dhyana, Characharatmaka Dhyana. Dreaming of BMW, dreaming of visiting Hawaii. So, this is all not stated here. So, this dhyana here refers to, even while I see all these things, I am able to see you there. So this is Sarvam Brahmamayam, that state. So then Sayujyam, so that is how Ramana, that is how Sadashiva Brahma, are all there. Sayujyam Mama Siddhamatra Bhavati Swamin Pratarthosmyam. In fact, this idea has been so beautifully brought out by Kalidasa. See, this Characharatmakatanu in fact, Kavya, so great poets bring in wonderful philosophy. Okay, they will introduce somewhere, either in the speech or at the beginning or at the end. Everywhere they will bring in. They themselves are wonderful scholars of various things. Then some special gift, Kavya comes. Ya Srishti, first shloka, amazing shloka in Shakuntala. In fact, he is just talking of this. So this Characharatmakatanu Ya Srishti Srashturadya Vahati Vihihutam Yahavir Yachahotri Yedve Kalam Vidhattaha Shruti Vishaya Guna Yasthita Vyapya Vishwam Yamahu Sarva Bija Pragadiliti Yaya Praninav Pranavantaha Pratyakshabhis Prapannaha Tanudhiravatubaha Abhirashtabhirishaha. There are 8 kinds of things. So pratyakshabhihi tanubihi means these are your forms which are evident to my eyes. Pratyakshabhihi prapannaha tanubhihi avatu vaha tabhihi ashtabhihi. Ashtabhihi is a very nice sloka. Ya srishti srashtu radya. If you look at one of the Upanishads, they have no tadapo srijata sodhyeva samudhritya murchayatu. So the first srishti is water in that Upanishad. So he keeps that in mind. Ya srishti srashtu radya. Srashtuhu adya srishtihi means the first creation of the creator, which means water. Ya srishti srashtu radya. Then second, another element, vahati vidhihutam, the one who carries which were offered unto fire. Vahati vidhihutam, it refers to fire. So water, fire. Vahati vidhihutam. Then he says, ya havihi yacha hotri. Havihi means something which is offered unto fire. Hotri is one who offers. All of them are essentially you. Yahavir yacha hotri. Then he says, yedve kalam vidhattaha. This is a powerful understanding, brilliant understanding. Yedve kalam vidhattaha means those who divide time. The two elements which divide time means sun and the moon. There is no other element. Yedve kalam vidhattaha shruti vishaya guna yasthita vyapya vishvam. This is a little tricky phrase. Yasthita vyapya vishvam means this gives you a hint. So that which is all pervading means space. But shruti vishaya guna means this has to do with the Nyaya Shastra. Shabda gunakam akasham. Okay, the one which has Shabda as its guna. Shruti vishaya guna yasthita vyapya vishvam. Yamahu sarva bija prakritiriti. That refers to earth. Sarva bija prakritihi. This refers to this Yamahu sarva bija prakritiriti. Yamahu sarva bija prakritiriti. Yaya praninah pranavantaha. The only element which is left is Vayu. Okay. Yaya praninaha pranavantaha. So by which praninaha pranavantaha means so all those living beings live because of which. So it refers to air. So then finally he says pratyakshabhih prapannaha tanubhiravatuvaha tabhirashtabhirishaha. So through this, in these forms, so all these forms have to be sort of venerated. We can't just. So that is the whole idea that has been conveyed. See, so that is what characharatmaka tanudhyanam. So that is the ultimate. See, stalloka swarupa sakshatvam means becoming one with him. Tatswarupa sakshatvam means becoming one with that. Okay. So that is the whole idea that is being conveyed here. This is Bhagavad Bhaktehe phalam. Uttama phalam. Okay. Mokshascha kaha. Mokshascha kohi. So that is how Mokshascha kohi. Avidyastamayaha. This he, that is where the punch lies. Okay. What indeed is moksha? Okay. If a fellow who has been shackled is released, then he will consider moksha. Okay. So if you have to clear your logic examination, so finishing your assignment, you will have a moksha. But these are all small mokshas. I didn't get a job. I got a job. Moksha. I didn't get married. So then for them, marrying is moksha. Then divorcing is moksha. So all things are moksha. Okay. So there are various kinds of mokshas. But here, moksho hi. What indeed is moksha? Avidyastamayaha. These are all temporary mokshas which we experience. Obviously, anything from which you get freed from will give you a sense of freedom, moksha. But this ultimate freedom is what is freedom, and that is avidyastamayaha. If you recall that sutra, so mithya-jnanam. Okay. So mithya-jnanam is avidya. So this avidyayaha astamayaha means that mithya-jnanam slowly releases. That is the karana for everything. And ultimately you will be freed from all sorrows. Okay. So any kind of bondage or sorrow is bandha. So release from that is moksha. Okay. So avidya is considered to be the bija for all other difficulties, so educations, so ailments, etc. that we undergo. So therefore, he says, in fact, we have this verse in Viveka Chudamani, avidya kama karmadi, avidya kama karmadi, avidya kama karmadi pashabandham vimochitum kashaknuyad vina kamam kalpakotishatairapi. Avidya kama karmadi pashabandham vimochitum. So avidya is what I wanted to convey here was avidya kama karmadi. So in fact there is a beautiful synergy between what you find here and what you will find in the Gautama Sutra also. So avidyayaha kamaha. Okay, it is because of this ajnana about this Atman that other thing is a source of happiness for me. A certain desire for other things gets generated. So once the desire gets generated, it drives you. Okay, so karma, adi, so adi, so all that etc. So arises out of that. Okay, so pashabandha, they are just your ropes which bind you. Then he said, Prashnottara. So who will be able to relieve himself? Atmanam vinam. So you have to just ato vimukti prayateta vidvan sanyasta vakyartha sukhaspruhasan. So and the marga is santam mahantam samuketya deshikam teno padishtartha samahitatma. That is the only way. So this is what is the source for bandha, and avidyayaha astamayaha is dukkhasya astamayaha, and it is same as so sukha prapti. Okay? So that is what is the idea. Mokshascha kaha hi avidya astamayaha. Then he says kaha sarva veda bhuhu. Kaha sarva veda bhuhu. Bhuhu here refers to the source from which things come out. Okay. So janma hetu. Okay. Sarva veda bhuhu means, so Veda is considered to be the most sacred and primary source of knowledge. Okay. And this, in fact, this is what is referred to as Shastra. In the Sutra, Shastra yo nitvat. So primary, other things are also Shastras, but this is considered as so primary Shastra from which other Shastras came. So this is a very interesting usage. Shasti iti Shastra. So Shasanat Shastra Uchyate or Shamsanat Shastra Uchyate. Both forms are there. So here, Sarva Veda Bhuhu. What is the source for? The source of knowledge. So from Veda comes Vedanga and so on and so forth. We have various things. In fact, Vedasya Samupabrahmanartham for all other literatures are. So in order to support. Now he is asking this question. Sarva Veda Bhuhu. So what is considered to be the source of all these Vedas? And the answer he says, Athacha Om. So Om. Okay. And in fact, the base for this is that Mandukya. Okay. Opening mantra in Mandukya. What is the open? See. Om Ityerdaksharamidadvina sarvantasyoho vyakshyanam bhutam bhavad bhavishyaditi sarvam omkara eva yacchanyat trikalatītam tadapyomkara eva sarvagrihyetad brahma ayamatma brahma swayamatma chatushpati. Goes on. The point here is, so you may find various descriptions in various Upanishads, not only in this Mandukya, you have other references also. Sarve Veda Yatpadamananti Tapamsi Sarvani Cha Yadvadanti Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti Tatte Padam Sangrahena Bravini Om Ityetat. This is Kathopanishad. So Sarve Veda Yatpadamananti. So essentially you find Sarva Veda Bhuhu. Understand? So Sarva Veda Bhuhu. Sarve Veda Yatpadamananti Tapamsi Sarvani Cha Yadvadanti Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti Satte Padam Sangrahena Bravini. If I were to tell the essence, so it is Om. There are other detailed descriptions about Om, so which you can read in various literatures. But essentially, the idea is, so Akara, Ukara, Makara, and so Nada. This is Om. And Acharya so completes this Prashnottara Ratnamalika with the Akshara Om, which is described as Sarva Veda Bhuhu. In fact, there is nothing like Omkara. So if you actually meditate upon with this Om, so it is an experience of people that it completely brings in tranquility in, however much you are agitated. Okay, so that is, there is a certain Shabda. So that Shabda brings in that kind of power. So that is why, I mean, it has been prescribed as the only mantra for sannyasins. Okay, so those who are committing themselves to a certain lifestyle which will be never harmful to other beings, it will be completely helpful to all other beings. So what is required is that state of mind that is achieved through Omkara. So that is how it is. Sarva Veda Bhuhu. So it is based on the scriptures. So the Acharya brings in and ends his text with the Om Shabda. So the message that he has conveyed here is something that is amazing. And finally, so he just took us to climax. So just finish. Okay, so you read the verse. फलमप भगवद किम् अल्लोकस्वरूप साक्षात्त्वम् मोक्षश्च कहाहि मोक्षश्च कोहि is a better way to read. मोक्षश्च कोहि अविद्याः समयः कस्सर्ववेदभूः अथ च सर्वे सुखिनः सन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्।